Hi, everybody. I'm Bobby.
I'm Jeff.
And this is Before the Show, the Vixen podcast, where we bring artists that are going to be performing right here on this stage behind us on here. So you get to learn a little bit more about the music, the artists, and the shows that are coming up. Jeff, we missed you in the last podcast. I'm glad you're here this week.
I was here at the last podcast, wasn't I?
Was it the one before that?
One before that, yeah.
I see, I still missed you from back then.
Exactly.
All right, yeah, that's right.
It's
Our last
lingering
podcast was John Karabi. It was an excellent podcast. Be sure to check that out if you missed it.
And speaking of John Karabi, he's coming here pretty soon.
He is coming. Who is coming? Tell me who's coming.
John Karabi's coming.
May 13th, John Karabi's coming. Who else? Well, who else are you excited about,
Who
Jeff?
else am I excited about? We have Ricky Rocket from Poison doing the 40th anniversary of Look What the Cat Dragged In.
Yep, the Rocket Mafia, May 21st is that show.
Glad you have these dates.
I do. I've got it. Yeah,
what else do we have? Speaking of, we have Tab Benoit coming.
Tab Benoit coming again, July 18th. Always a great show.
And then the one I'm really looking forward to is Static X with Dope.
Yeah, that's July 16th. Everybody's excited about that show. There are not that many tickets left.
No, that one is
shows.
Almost sold out, and so's Tab. Yeah, that's
awesome. And then this past weekend, because we got to talk about things that have been going on, we had a pretty cool show. I actually, unfortunately, missed it, but tell us what we had going on.
We had Burning Witches on Saturday, which was a phenomenal metal show. Our metal shows are getting more and more popular here. It was a great show, and we will definitely be bringing them back sometime in the future.
They looked amazing. They had a look. They definitely had a thing going on. I'll bet it was a pretty awesome show.
It was a great show. Loud, very loud show, but it was a great show.
Yeah, and I just want to comment, I love your sweater.
Thank you.
Do you want to, you walked in and our technical director was like, what are you wearing? So I want a little bit of the story, because it's not the usual thing.
This is a 1972 Izod. And the reason I know the date is because I collect Izod sweaters. Does he know that about me now?
All right, there you go. It's a little Jeff trivia.
I have about 40 of them.
Okay, keep that piece of info. Maybe I'll throw a little fun social thing for some free tickets on about that. You need to know how many of these sweaters Jeff has. All right, we have an awesome show today. And very excited. I've been jamming out all morning getting ready for it. I know you're probably really excited about it.
I'm super excited.
Excited about the show. I think I'm even more excited about the interview right now. Just pretty cool.
Yeah,
What's coming on?
So we have a guy, he was named Guitar One's 50 fastest guitar players. He was in a band called Racer X. He was in a little band called Mr. Big.
Little band.
And he's amazing. And he's going to bring his WROC, his rock tour to the Vixen. When are they coming?
They are coming Sunday, April 26th. And tickets are limited. So you're going to want to get them after you see this interview, I'm sure. But go grab them now. VixenMcHenry.com. Be sure to get these tickets.
Let's bring them on.
All right. Before we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and ready. Let's bring on Mr. Paul Gilbert. Hey, Paul, thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited to have you here. I know Jeff's excited.
I'm ecstatic. How you doing, Paul?
Bobby and Jeff, thank you for having me here. I can't wait to play the show.
We can't either. And it's so funny. I want to start out by talking about Rock, your new album, because I have a little bit of a history with it. That we have a mutual friend, and he was telling me a while back about the concept of it. And he's kind of a guy that like pulls my leg a lot and messes with me. And I'm like, get out of here. Like, I didn't believe it. And I think it's just the most crazy, out of the box, unique concept. And why don't you tell people what Rock stands for?
Well, the pronunciation is correct, but the spelling is not obvious. You know, most people spell rock R-O-C-K, and for this particular album, I'm spelling it W-R-O-C, which stands for Washington's Rules of Civility, which is actually a shortened version of the entire title, which is George Washington's Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior in Company and Conversation, which is an etiquette manual that was written in the 16th century by Jesuit scholars. And this etiquette manual found its way over to England, was translated into English from its original French, and then made its way across the ocean and somehow ended up in the hands of George Washington when he was a high school student. And it was given to him as a penmanship exercise. So there's young George writing all these etiquette rules. And I guess as he was perfecting his penmanship, he also couldn't help but notice that the meaning of them resonated with him. And so the story goes that it helped him frame or become the kind of person that allowed him to have many of the successes that he had. So I stumbled upon this decades ago, and I was pretty optimistic when I first read the book. I thought, oh, rules of civility. I'm a civil person. I can do these. And then I started to read them, and I thought, oh, that one's rough. and so it just made me laugh at how uncivilized I actually turned out to be. But I thought, it gives me something to strive for. And so again, I hadn't really thought of it since I read it decades ago, and then suddenly it bubbled up into my head recently when I was trying to figure out what to do for my new album. And I thought, I wonder if I could turn the Washington's Rules of Civility, rock, into song lyrics, and that could be the concept of the album. And so that's what I did. And being on the other side of it now, where it's all done, the record's done, there's videos of every song on YouTube. It's a wonderful feeling of accomplishment.
It's amazing. When my buddy told me about that, we were on a road trip, so he pulled up all 110 rules on his phone and was reading them out to us. And then when I got the album, I'm like, holy cow, he is all 110 rules in the lyrics? Did you fit them all in?
No, I didn't. I had no. It wasn't a matter of having to finish. Okay. It was just, I just grabbed where they worked, because ultimately I'm still, my top priority is the music still.
Right.
And so I want to be able to form those lyrics into melodies and make a good song out of it. And if it gets you to, one line I repeat a lot is "spit not in the fire." So, if people spit less in fires at the end of it, that's a bonus. but ultimately, I just wanted to rock, so that, that's the good double meaning of the title.
Well, that was the amazing part about it, how everything did flow. And I mean, words, it's Old English. So it's like, I've listened to it 100 times. I listen to it all the time. And every time I catch something a little bit different. And, yeah, it's a great concept. It's a fun concept. It's a great album, and I think it's very apropos to the times that we are in right now. I think we all
civility.
Yeah, we could all learn a little bit of civility. I think right about now.
There's no time when etiquette doesn't improve things.
Right.
Fair. So did you have to go buy the hat in honor of George Washington, or did you have it already?
I did not have the tricorn hat. I had to, online you can find anything.
Yeah, of course.
So and at first I thought, nah, I'm not going to wear the hat, but as it got closer and I realized we're doing videos, okay. And my apologies for the breeches, because I just measured myself, I ordered from a place where you've got it's custom made, because I did the whole outfit in the videos. And I didn't quite measure right for the pants, and I didn't even, I'm not paying attention. I'm thinking about the guitar solo, and then later on, my wife sort of mentioned, like, you should probably do something about those pants. So don't worry, for the tour, I got a new pair of breeches or breeches, whatever they're called. They fit better now. So
nice.
It's much less. It's much better to look at, and I don't know if I'm even going to wear the breeches. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I love that you're stepping right into the entire experience, like bringing the whole thing to the stage. That's great.
Well, you've always had this kind of edge of humor in everything you do. So, I mean, do you think taking yourself too seriously kills creativity? Do you think your look at life and your humorous way of outlook has kind of helped your music career and your writing style?
Well, there was a moment that I really enjoyed during the recording sessions, when the guy who was doing all the videos happened to spot a George Washington, it was a dollar bill, like a dollar bill. I think it was a clock or something, a clock radio, and it had a dollar bill on the front with a picture of George. And he was like, "Oh, we got to put this in there." And I said, "No." And I said, somehow, I don't know why, but no. And I looked at him and I said, "You got to realize I'm a serious artist." and when I said that, everybody laughed.
Right.
And it's like, as much as as humor might, I can't help myself, but at the core of it, I don't know. I guess part of me takes things extremely seriously. Uh, more seriously than I could take almost anything. Um, but I think I also just enjoy it, and the joy of getting to do what I love to do, play music, play guitar, write, have these songs turn out in a way that I was happy about. It's really hard to be to be outwardly stoic or whatever, or dark when I feel this great inside. And feeling great inside is something I really appreciate these days. I'm 59 years old now. And I had a hip replacement 3 years ago. I'm starting to. I get up in the morning and there's things that hurt. So if I have a moment where I'm like playing guitar and everything's feeling good, I'm just so joyous at that, to be able to be in that moment, especially at this stage of life. That, man, it's I don't know if it's humor. I think it's more joy.
That is awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
that's great.
And it definitely comes across in your writing and your playing. I've seen you live multiple times with multiple acts, and I've always you could tell that you really truly enjoy and are happy when you're playing your guitar, which is a great thing.
Don't forget, I am a serious artist.
I was going to say, he's serious about it, though, and lucky for us, he's having a good time, too.
Fun serious.
It emanates into the crowd.
Fun serious, yeah. Yeah.
I thought you had 18 pages of things you want to talk about.
I do have 18 pages, but I thought I don't want to step
on
you.
No. Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
You got tagged.
I've come brought things to a screeching halt with the serious artist proclamation.
I have a habit of talking over people, her and probably you, during this interview. So I'm just trying to be.
I think it's really nice that you think you could talk over me. That no one else has ever said that before. Thanks, Jeff.
You got tagged early as a technical player, a shredder, a guy that plays 1,000,000 miles per hour. Do you think that tag helped your career early on? Do you think it stymied you a little bit? What is your thought on that?
Well, marketing is marketing. I mean, what a good problem.
Yeah.
To have, like, any kind of career. I mean, when you said that, when you asked that question, it's based on the assumption that I have a career. So I win no matter what.
Definitely.
And if I'm going to get persnickety about, I haven't used that word ever. If I'm going to get a bee in my bonnet, because, like, I want to be known as this instead. I mean, that will happen now and again. But I think what it is these days, when you can read your comments on YouTube or whatever, I realize that if that's the game, I can't win, because everybody wants something a little different. There'll be people who go like, he should shred more. He should play fast all the time. And then other people will be like, he sounds the same way he did 30 years ago, just those same fast licks over and over again. And it's commenting on exactly the same video. So, two people will see it, and their perception is, completely on two sides of the spectrum. And, ultimately, as a serious artist, you just have to do what you believe in, and what makes you feel good. And at the same time, I am aware, especially when I do a tour, it gives me a kick in the pants, because I know that there's a lot of power in people hearing what they're familiar with. And if people have watched, a technical, like, there's a Racer X song called Technical Difficulties that I know was really popular on millions of hits on YouTube. I know if I play that song, people are going to go, I know that one, and get excited about it. So the challenge is like, when I hear that song, like, yeah, I know that one. I've played it a million times, and I'm kind of tired of it. So my challenge is I have to come up with a new arrangement of it that I am genuinely excited about and love, and then have it be, similar enough to the original where the people who are familiar with it, where they dig it too. And that's a great artistic challenge. I've at the beginning, I wasn't so sure I could do it. A bunch of those songs that I was kind of cynical about it. I thought, I've played that one so much, I don't want to do that anymore. And then I thought, well, don't just give up on it so easily. Just put some time into it. See if you can chew on it and make rekindle the excitement of it. And so I'm excited to bring it on the road because I really do have kind of whatever my hits or the familiar stuff that people want to hear. It's in there, and because I love my new stuff. Of course, I'm excited about that, and I'll play some of that. But a lot of the classic stuff that people want to hear is in there. But I've reworked it in a way that I think is exciting, and I think people will dig it too.
Well, you brought up the word hits, and that's what's really unique to what you do. You actually have hits, where a lot of guitar-first artists don't have that crossover. They don't have those hits. And what do you think it is that you have that they don't, or where are they missing that they don't have those hits, or what makes it, you've written with a lot of great people too as well. Does that? I'm sure that plays a role. But what is it? What's that secret sauce that makes you have that? Have those hits?
I wish I knew. I'd press that button more often.
Or what's those artists that you admire that don't have those crossover hits? What are they missing?
Oh man, I mean, my guess is like a really good-looking lead singer.
All right.
And that could, you never know, that could do it.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because this morning I was listening to a little Mr. Big this morning and thinking to myself, do you get tired of playing some of those really popular songs over and over? So that's such a great answer because that really answered something that was floating around in my head all morning.
Yeah, well, so actually, the songs that have a strong melody, like the obvious one is "To Be With You," Mr. Big.
That has been in my head all day.
I always enjoy playing that, and again with my own band, I rework it, do my own version, but I love that melody. To me, a good melody really never wears out. That's always nice to hear. If anything, I get a little more tired of the shred stuff, and so that's the thing where I really have to work to find a way to make a new arrangement or a new texture or something to get myself interested in it again. And it also could just be a matter of practice because those songs, if I haven't played them for a while, they will get a little rusty and I'll go like, oh, this is hard and it doesn't sound as good as it did. And after a couple of weeks, I'll be like, oh man, I'm having fun zooming through it now.
How did your Dio cover album come about? What's the story behind that? Because I've always loved that record.
Yeah. Well, I had been doing a lot of, I would say, fun research about singers and how to try to play vocal melodies on guitar. Dio was on the top of my list because I love his singing and the melodies are great. But also on that list, I was learning Three Dog Night songs, Boston, all kinds of things just to get better at melodies. I figure singers are the masters of melody, so that's a good place to mine the style. And I was driving my car one day and I was behind another car and they had a Dio baseball cap in their back window. And it just made me put my fist in the air, like, yeah, Dio. It cheered me up so much. I got home, I thought I should make a whole record of Dio songs, on guitar. And so that's the other thing. When I first did that, I can't remember. I think it was right before I went out with Mr. Big. So I wasn't in a position where I could tour anyway at that time. But I always thought I probably won't be able to play those songs live because it really requires having a rhythm guitar player, and then I'm taking on the role of the singer doing the melodies. But on this tour, I've got Doug Rappaport playing guitar, so I can actually do some of that stuff. So we're going to do some of that music from the Dio album live.
Oh, really?
So
That's great.
Awesome.
Your social media presence is really great. I mean, I watch your TikToks and you have your YouTube channel and all that. And do you think social media has made guitar players better, musicians better, or are we just getting better at being online and doing 30-second snippets? Because I see a lot of guys I really like online that I've never even heard or seen, and I watch it, I'm mesmerized, and I go down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, I can't really hold my attention more than 30 seconds.
Well, well, it's the arts. I mean, 30 seconds is kind of long,
It is these days, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but yeah, the art of the 30-second snippet is an art. Yeah, and like any art, you can master it, and you can move people, and you can be satisfied with the result. But it's different than a 4-minute song. So it is what it is. I mean, there's a lot of different arts, and I think I enjoy both. I really have a good time doing the short little blurb, and of course, a lot of it is editing. I'll play a bunch, and then find that one little spot that I know is going to just stand out quickly. Um, but even on the internet, it's interesting because, of course, those things are popular, but also people will watch an hour and a half long podcast.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy.
and so it's really, I don't know if the attention span itself is really being limited. It's more just a different forms of art.
Yeah, well, we see those TikTok stars, and I've made the mistake of buying the TikTok stars for the
Some
venue.
TikTok stars do not translate to ticket sales,
Yeah.
but they do great on TikTok.
Yeah, we've had several empty rooms with TikTok people up here, so I learned my lesson on that one.
Well, obviously when you're doing a live show, it's it's a different, that's when you need the 4-minute songs.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually on the new rock album, I wrote one of the longest, I call it a trilogy actually, because there's sort of 3 songs in one. It's a song called Spark of Celestial Fire, which is based on the very last Washington Rule. And that song ended up being over 8 minutes long, and I can't wait to play that one live, because it's really just the instrumentation is tricky, because the beginning, it starts off with an acoustic guitar and a harmony, like a harmony guitar part in addition to that. So Timur, our bass player, has to play acoustic that's on like a stand, and then quickly press a button to turn it off, switch back to bass, and at the end, it's got this 3-part harmony, and it's a beautiful lyric. Most of the Washington rules are like practical etiquette stuff. Don't put too much food on your knife, that kind of stuff. But that last rule, which is labor to keep alive in your breast that little spark of celestial fire called conscience. I could cry. It's so beautiful, and to put that, into a 3-part vocal harmony with beautiful chords, and we did it live in the studio, although the singing, we didn't have time to rehearse to that depth, so the singing is overdubbed, but live, even the vocals will be live. So, and I've got Jeff Martin on, playing drums and singing harmonies. He's a lead singer of Racer X, so the harmonies are going to be amazing, and I just can't wait to do that.
Awesome.
Are you still giving lessons? I mean, I know you've given lessons, and you've had, tutorial videos for 20 years or longer. Do you give lessons still?
Well, the online school, I did over 16,000 video lessons that are still up on that school. But I'm taking a break from doing new lessons there, just because my schedule from doing albums, tours. I mean, I've kind of managed to do it before, but it got to the point where it's just like there's not enough hours in the day. So I figured with 16,000 videos, I've kind of been able to get my message across.
There should be something there for everybody.
Yeah. But on tour, I do the VIP experience where people can see the sound check. We can hang out and sign stuff and take pictures. But also, I'm going to squeeze into the schedule doing like 2 one-on-one lessons every day at each venue. Now, those are already sold out. Actually, those sold out really quick. So, if I look forward to meeting the people who got those and having a great time sitting down one-on-one. But if you want to get close to that, come to the VIP and we could talk about guitar.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome when your team members reached out to me and told me that you were doing that, and I'm not shocked that it sold out instantly, because that's
amazing.
That's a pretty cool experience. So, have you done that before, or is this the first time you're doing that?
I did group lessons before, where I got a little mixer so I could plug in like 9 guitar players or whatever people showed up, and we would have a jam. And I really enjoyed that. I mean, it was actually a great warm up for me before the show because I could, jam with 9 guitar players every day. But this is what one-on-one, so it's I'll be able to listen to the player a little bit more,
Right.
and yeah, I love doing one-on-one stuff, and I have to force myself not to talk too much because a lot of times one-on-one can turn into a lot of talking. I really want to try to play and listen to the person because I think you get for musicians that can be the best form of communication. It's just jam.
Right. What's something you see players obsess over that, in your opinion, is just overblown? That it's just this doesn't really matter in their playing.
Well, I mean, I have an answer, and I'll say it, but then then at the end I'll say it might not be the case.
Perfect.
Yeah. The picking stuff, I think. And I remember this, before I could play fast at all. Like I was like 12 years old in a band, and even then, everybody, all of my musician friends, we were all fascinated with picking, and we would talk about players like Al Di Meola, and there was this sort of philosophy like, oh, he picks every note, and it almost seemed like like he was morally superior because oh, if you don't pick it, then you're lazy somehow, and but to me, having gone through. I don't know if I ever picked every note, but I got better at picking, and I got known for it. And I should mention like the old. You don't have to pick every note when you play electric guitar. You can do hammer-ons and pull-offs, all kinds of ways to get the note out. And it's that choice of am I going to pick it? What kind of tone will the pick have? If I do a hammer-on or a pull-off, that will still get the note, but it will have a different tone, a different dynamic. And so those choices aren't about morality. They're about sound and like what sounds the best. It's not just like, yes, I picked every note, so I followed the rule. It's to me, it's an arbitrary rule. The rule is it has to sound good and feel good. And picking's a part of making it sound good and feel good, but you tend to get a sameness. When you pick everything, every note starts to sound the same, and that's less expressive in many instances. And I love expression, and it's funny too because the same thing where I can't win with the comments. People will go like, "Oh, why are you making all the faces, those dumb faces?" And it's like, because I freaking love being expressive. It feels so good, and it's a choice. I mean, some music. If you play a Bach harpsichord piece, a harpsichord is an instrument where the dynamics, you literally don't have a choice. No matter how hard or soft you hit that key, the harpsichord will send it out at exactly the same level of dynamics. It's just the instrument evens it out. That's the way it is. But with guitar, that's not the case. For better or for worse, it's going to be, you have control over the dynamics. And it's impressive to make all your dynamics the same as a technical exercise. But is it expressive? To me, subjectively, I like, I like having control of it and intentionally having a roller coaster of dynamics and tones, and that just again brings joy.
Love that. How old were you when you first picked up the guitar? I'm curious.
I was 6 when I first picked it up, and I almost immediately put it down because I had a teacher, and he wanted me to sight read, and I'm still a lousy sight reader. I've always been an ear player, and using my ear and just the ear and the feel. So I gave up. I became a drummer, and it was the same thing, sight reading drums. So I gave that up, and I just did air guitar for about 3 years, which I actually think was really valuable because when you play air guitar, you're listening and you're visualizing. What it should be. You're sort of making a more and more clear target of what your musical goal is. 'Cause you're listening, you're getting a physical, a general physical sense. And then I picked up the instrument again when I was 9, and then I haven't put it down since. That was, I practiced every day. I mean, unless I've got a cold or, I'm traveling, since then.
I have some little boys in my world who want to play guitar, and now I feel like I have really great advice. Like, because that same thing, they pick it up and they look at that book, and it just doesn't seem to translate for them. So I'm going to tell them air guitar is the answer. Do that for a few years. That's the
Yeah.
key.
Well, one thing about air guitar, though, it was I didn't want anybody to see me doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't. I would close the door or hope that my mom wouldn't come in.
Of
Because
course.
it's a little embarrassing. I'm not really doing it. I'm just pretending. I don't want to see anybody to see me pretending.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just rehearsal. It's like you're just not ready yet. I'm still in the rehearsal mode.
Exactly. Rehearsal. I like it.
Visualizing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any truth to the story that I heard about you reaching out to Ozzy Osbourne's management, when you were like 14 or 15 years old, trying to get the gig? Is that just a wild rumor?
No, that's become a beloved internet story, I think.
Okay, I thought so. I thought so.
Yeah, and I mean, it was 1982 maybe, and Randy had passed away, and I loved his playing, and I loved those songs, and I was 15, I think, and I knew. I knew it wasn't going to happen. It was like, this is, it's such a long shot. This will never happen. But at the same time, I thought, if I don't try, I'm always going to regret not trying.
And it'll definitely never happen.
Yeah. Right. But then I thought, well, how do I try? This is before you could, email people. I don't have anybody's phone number.
Right.
And so the only, I was living in rural Pennsylvania, so the only thing, I had a guitar magazine that had an article with a record producer named Mike Varney, indie record producer, but he was, seemed well connected with guitar players or the guitar world, and he had his address, and he said, anybody who sends me a cassette, I'll reply to. So I sent him a cassette, and he replied, and he immediately told me Ozzy doesn't want a 15-year-old guitar player, and that was the end of that. But that actually became my connection, for having a record label for Racer X, and getting, he helped me find Jeff Martin, who was, of course, playing drums and singing backup on my tour. So, Mike, became a friend and an influence and a huge help in my career.
Yeah, I always love those stories, like, the networking or getting in early. We had John Corabi on last week, and he told us the Motley Crue story, how that all came together. And I just always find those fascinating, how one day you're in your bedroom and the next day you're, playing with one of the biggest bands in the world.
Yeah, right.
Well, not in John's case, but yeah. So,
well, the one with that was probably Rush. Getting when Mr. Big, we did our first album, and but I had never played, I'd never played big venues, just selling out clubs a lot. And all of a sudden, I get the call from our manager, and he goes, "Yeah, we got the Rush tour,
right?
And we're going to go out and do, arenas in America for half the year." I'm like, oh man! And I remember walking into catering the first day, and Geddy Lee's eating lunch, and I lost it. I lost control of my cool and inhibitions. I just ran up, Geddy, I love you, man. Gave him a hug, and then I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Eat your lunch. I'll leave you alone. But that was really incredible for me. I love their music, and I love so much about Rush. So that was amazing.
That's great.
Very cool.
So we usually wrap up our interviews with our what we call it, speed round, I think we call it, or
something like that.
Just off the top of your head, we'll fire some rapid, senseless questions to you, and you can give us your answer.
All right, I'll get up. All right, what do you do before a show? Do you have a routine? I'm falling off my chair. Do you have a routine or something that gets you in the vibe and ready for the show?
Oh, well, this tour I'm singing a bit, so I'll be warming up the vocals. Let's see. Well, you get together with the band, you do the high five or the pre-show prayer or whatever it is. There might be other things, but I'll have to remember that I haven't played in a while, so I forgot what they are.
What's the strangest or most unique gift you've ever gotten from a fan?
Oh my goodness. Well, whenever somebody has a tattoo, and that's I always feel a little guilty, like, oh, sorry.
Have you signed people's arms and had them tattooed? Is that what you're talking about, or do they have your face
I
on
won't
it?
if I won't sign skin because
Okay.
yeah. But people actually one of the tattoos that kind of blew my mind because it was such an interesting choice was in the early days of Racer X. I would go buy weird guitars just because I like weird guitars, and I had bought a Rickenbacker. I think it was a 481 or something. It has slanted frets, and the body of the guitar is the same body style as a Rickenbacker bass. It's actually similar to the Fireman guitar I play now, but I had one of those, and nobody. It wasn't the popular instrument. I mean, the Rick bass was, but not the guitar version. And there was a girl who was a student at GIT where I was teaching. She came in one day with a tattoo of me playing that Rickenbacker, and I thought, like, cool choice because that's because I love weird guitars, and I thought, you
Right.
picked a weird one, but sorry, you did that to yourself, So it was. I have mixed feelings about it.
What year was that?
Oh, that was a long time ago. That was probably before Mr. Big, so it was like 87 maybe.
Imagine what that tattoo looks like now, huh?
Well, I bet it probably looks like me.
Oh, man.
All right, I'm gonna let you wrap it up. Go ahead. Last question.
What is the best piece of advice you've received from another musician as you've built your career?
Oh man, well the recent one was from Neil Morse. Well, I'll give you two. First, Mike Varney. I asked him how I said, like, how do you know you're ready to make it? This is when I was a teenager. I interviewed him for a high school project, and he said, when your demos sound as good as your favorite records. And that was a humbling answer because I thought, man, my demos don't sound anywhere close to my favorite records. But as time's gone on, my demos are better and better. And then the other one was my friend Neil Morse, who used to play in Spock's Beard and now has a great solo career. I asked him about songwriting. And at the time, I was really dreading the process and just going, oh, I can't wait till this is over. I have to write these songs. And Neil said, "What? That's my favorite part. I love writing songs." And he didn't even tell me how to do that, but just to know that there's somebody who loved the process, let me know that it was possible to find, that path was there if I could just find it. And I made a choice that if I'm not having fun, I'm gonna go have an ice cream sandwich and come back and then and only make choices that I enjoy. And if I'm like slogging through it and going, oh, I can't wait till this is over, that means I haven't chosen the right thing for the song. And that's how I worked it out. But just the fact that Neil enjoys the process, that affected me hugely.
That really brought that full circle back around to joy, like really just finding joy in what you're doing, right? And knowing that it's there.
To me, that's a big part of how I've been able to put in the hours. I think some people, there's the no pain, no gain. I hate this, but if I just put in the time, I'll use maybe discipline is the word. And I think from if there was a fly on the wall, and that fly was watching me for my whole life, they'd probably go, "Oh, Paul's a really disciplined guy, a serious artist." But inside, I'm having the best time in the world. I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm able to see the progress. Not in everything. That's the thing is I tend to choose the road where there's no traffic, and even if the road where I would really like to go, oh, I'd love to go there, but if it's full of traffic, I was like, just sit there and go nowhere. So I'll try this other road where I feel like I can make some progress, and that way I've always got motion, and I'm always feeling that forward motion, and that keeps me going.
That's awesome. Well, I cannot wait to see this show.
Yeah, there's only a handful of tickets left. We do not have many tickets left. So if you're watching this and you want to come, you better get tickets real soon.
Yeah, VixenMcHenry.com. And the show again, Sunday, April 26th.
Yep.
It's going to be awesome.
And Greg's with you at that show. Greg Koch.
And then our opener, Greg Koch, is amazing. Now, I didn't even realize that we could have called the tour Cock Rock.
That is what we're calling. That is it.
That's it.
I'm changing all the and mats.
I have such an undirty mind. I mean, that would have been great. But Greg is such a great guitar player. I actually, a lot of times the promoter will just go, okay, we're going to put you with this band. I talked to my managers, like, I really want to have Greg Koch on this tour because I love his music so much. I love his guitar playing. I'm going to ask him. Hopefully he'll come up and sit in for a couple songs in my set. And I just love listening to him. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I was super psyched when your team told me he was added to the bill, because he's just from up the road. He's just in Milwaukee, so he's kind of he's a kind of a Midwest legend. So it's definitely going to be an extra amazing show because he's on the bill. We're really looking forward to him being here.
Fantastic.
So I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your time, and I can't wait to see you in April.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. We'll see you then.
Rock and roll. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.